In 2019, New York City hosted a staggering 66.6 million visitors, and of those millions, many flocked to the Big Apple's most iconic destinations, the Statue of Liberty, the Empire State Building, and Times Square. Yet, New York City has many more treasures to share with those willing to explore this vast city's lesser-known hidden secrets. One secret destination that lies hidden in the city is the Vault of Steinway Sons. As any classical music aficionado will know, Steinway Sons are the Rolls-Royce of pianos. The Steinway Sons factory is in Astoria, Queens, and within the walls of this building hides a secret vault containing the finest pianos ever made. Entry into the vault via a biometric-activated control box is strictly by invitation only. There are currently 7 peerless pianos on display in this secret vault, including John Lennon's Imagine Model B Spyro. This piano is a reproduction made to celebrate what would have been Lennon's 70th birthday and features keys that are modeled on the original white Steinway & Sons piano that Lennon gave to Yoko Ono on her 40th birthday. The vault is acoustically perfect in case high-profile visitors such as Billy Joel decide to test run a piano. These rare instruments are valued at around $250,000 each, hence why only 3 Steinway & Sons staff members can access the vault via their unique thumbprint. Hidden in Prospect Park, Brooklyn, is the Friends Quaker Cemetery. For most visitors, this small burial plot is completely invisible. Established by the Society of Friends in 1849, this small cemetery was created on 9 acres of undeveloped farmland prior to the development of Prospect Park itself. Secrecy surrounds the Quakers' graves. These graves were not permitted to have headstones until the 1850s, meaning that many of the graves are unmarked. To this day, the cemetery is closed to the public, though it is still actively used by the Quaker community. In fact, it is the only active Quaker cemetery left in New York City. The Quaker Cemetery at Prospect Park is surrounded by a fence, and its view is obscured by a wooded area. It is estimated that anywhere from 2,000 to 3,500 Quaker souls are laid to rest in these secret burial grounds. In the basement of the Federal Reserve Bank's main office in Manhattan lies a vault about half the size of a football field, and within this vault lies the largest known deposit of monetary gold in the world. However, none of this precious metal actually belongs to the bank. Rather, the bank keeps the gold safe for account holders including US governments, foreign governments, official international organizations, and other banks. Neither private businesses or individuals are allowed to store their gold in this vault. The storing of gold in this vault began in earnest during World War II. At its peak, the vault contained a staggering 12,000 tons of this precious metal. Today, the vault contains approximately 497,000 gold bars. The reason why the vault can support the immense weight of the bullion is because it is built on the bedrock of Manhattan Island, hidden away 80 feet below street level. There is only one way into the Federal Reserve Bank's gold vault, which is via a 90-ton steel cylinder. This cylinder is 9 feet tall and set within a 140-ton frame made of steel and concrete. Added to this is a multi-layered security system and round-the-clock surveillance by the bank's armed police guards. Not surprisingly, no one has ever tried to rob this vault of its valuable treasure. Officially opened in 1883, the Brooklyn Bridge was the first crossing built over the East River, connecting Manhattan Island and Long Island, Brooklyn. This cable-stayed suspension bridge can accommodate both vehicular traffic, cyclists, and pedestrians. It is one of New York City's most well-known landmarks and is featured in several films and television shows. But lesser well-known is what lies beneath the Brooklyn Bridge. During its construction in the 1870s, enterprising architects saw that the cavernous spaces below would be an ideal cool storage facility for wine. To that end, an underground cellar was dug out at both ends of the bridge. These wine cellars were perfect for storing valuable wine and champagne due to the consistent cool temperatures provided by the waters of the river above. And there was another reason why these cellars were built. To pave the way for progress, 2 liquor vendors at either end of the bridge had to have their shop fronts demolished to make way for the new bridge. Racky's Wine Company of Brooklyn and Lloyd's & Co. of Manhattan were happy to take their business underground, and the fees that they paid for these spaces offset the cost of building the bridge. It was a win-win situation for all parties involved. Below the 60,000-ton granite entrances to the cellars, the finest and most expensive wines and champagnes from around the world were stored. To reflect this, the walls of these chambers were painted with scenes of provincial Europe, with trailing green vines and heavy purple fruit. After the end of Prohibition in 1933, well-to-do partygoers would gather to wine and dine in the cellars beneath the Brooklyn Bridge. But ladies and gentlemen were warned not to lean on the musty walls of the chamber, lest they spoil their expensive clothes. The party was over when World War II commenced, and the city of New York commandeered the space for the war effort. The wine cellars still exist today, though they no longer house Bordeaux, Burgundy, Claret, or any other type of liquor. Visitors to this hidden treasure are rare, but those lucky enough to catch a glimpse inside say that they can still feel a sense of what the place once was, a hotbed of enterprise and celebration. Most people will know that German physicist Albert Einstein spent many years living in the United States. Yet, it is one of New York City's best-kept secrets that the eyeballs of this incredible genius are stored in a safety deposit box in the city. Einstein took up residence at Princeton in 1935, and he lived there until his death at the Princeton Hospital in 1955. Einstein abhorred idolatry, and it was his dying wish that his body be cremated and his remains scattered to stop morbid collectors from acquiring his body parts. So strong were his beliefs about this type of thing that he refused to sign his name in his later years. Unfortunately, the physician who completed the autopsy on Einstein's body could not help himself, unlawfully taking the eyeballs and the brain and preserving them. Luckily for him, Einstein's son later gave his blessing, and his father's brain was gifted to this physician. The eyeballs were given to Einstein's regular doctor, a Dr. Abrams, who stored them in a safety deposit box. Abrams died in 2009. Apparently, Albert Einstein's eyeballs are still stored in this safety deposit box today. On New York City's Roosevelt Island stands a crumbling building that dates back to the 1850s. This building has long been abandoned, but once upon a time, it was a smallpox hospital. Unfortunate victims of this dreaded disease were ferried from the mainland to the island and quarantined in order to protect the rest of the population. This hospital treated approximately 7,000 patients in the years spanning 1856 to 1875. Named for the architect who designed it, Renmark Hospital had become defunct by the 1950s, and it quickly fell into disrepair. Despite being rescued by the Landmarks Preservation Commission in 1975, the building is still dilapidated. The commission merely reinforced the exterior walls. Therefore, it is not safe for visitors and can only be seen through the fence that surrounds it. Today, masses of green curling ivy have taken over the ruins of this beautiful Gothic Revival structure, which only adds to its mystique. April 14th, 1865. American President Abraham Lincoln attends the Ford Theater in Washington, D.C. to see a performance of Our American Cousin by English playwright Tom Taylor. The show's playbill celebrates the forthcoming attendance of the great man, stating, "This evening, the performance will be honored by the presence of President Lincoln." As Lincoln watches the performance, a mentally unstable Southern sympathizer called John Wilkes Booth slips into Lincoln's box and shoots him in the back of the head. Lincoln slips into a coma and dies from his wounds 8 hours later. 20 years on in New York City, a restaurant called Keens Steakhouse opens to the public. It still exists today and is one of New York City's oldest eateries. Visitors to the restaurant can spy on the wall the very playbill that Lincoln himself had left beneath his seat on that fateful night. As the story goes, a carpenter's assistant found the bloodied playbill. He moved to New York City to escape the ignominy that followed him after this incident, taking the playbill with him. It was there that he gave it to his new employer, and from there it found its way to Keens Steakhouse. Visitors go to the eatery just to see this macabre item without ordering a single bite to eat. If they look closely, faded rusty bloodstains can be seen splattered across the paper, which is now protected under glass. Beneath the Waldorf Astoria, one of New York City's most distinguished hotels, lies a hidden railway track called Track 61. According to urban legend, famous U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt would be driven to this site, where his car would be parked inside an elevator that would take him directly to the Waldorf's garage. This station was also rumored to have been prepped for President George W. Bush, in case he needed a quick getaway route from his meetings at the esteemed hotel. Today, this subway station lies abandoned, covered in dust and grime, with only a single antique railway car parked in the secret space. Yet, the fact that an unmarked brass door at the hotel street level leads to the station indicates that there may be some truths to these urban myths. This wraps up our list of top secrets hidden within New York City. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. New York City has such a fascinating history that it is bursting with similar stories. Tell us what you think in the comments. Any hidden secrets you think should have made the list? For more videos on the most amazing forgotten parts of our history, be sure to subscribe to the Intrigued Mind channel, like the video, and leave your suggestions in the comments below.